Tonight, we look back at the highlights from the Pule Whakamotu ceremony. Niue government signs a trust agreement with the Ekalesia Niue Church. And a formal handover ceremony is held for the near completion of the Niue Road project funded by the People's Republic of China. Whakaloflahi atu whakaue kua maua e mga honei ki lata moi hātau tolu atu tāla tutupu. Welcome to BCN News. Leading our bulletin tonight, more than 1,000 people, both local tangata Niue and those from abroad, converged at the Hainan International Airport to commemorate the nation's 50 years of self-governance this month. Here's Esther Pavihi with this story.
The program for the flag-raising day was postponed twice due to the weather, with rain and thunderstorms, but it eased up around midday for the 1 p.m. start. The car park at the Hainan International Airport was the venue for the flag-raising ceremony. Speaker of the Niue Assembly, Honourable Hima Douglas, welcomed all the dignitaries before the arrival of the Prime Minister, Honourable Dalton Tangilangi. The Governor-General of New Zealand and Niue, Her Excellency Right Honourable Dame Sydney Kiro, arrived. The choir sang the national anthem as the flags were raised. In his address, Prime Minister Honourable Dalton Tangilangi acknowledged the contribution of past leaders, local Niueans who work in the various sectors of health, education, conservation, the arts and among others.
This celebration invites us to reflect on our shared past and inspires us to envision a bright future that continues to be enriched by the deep cultural, historical, and community ties that forever bind our two nations. We should take a moment to remember those before us who are instrumental in forging this path and spirit of independence for Niue.
He emphasised on working together to build a brighter future for Niue and forge a path forward for the next 50 years.
50 years ago, back then, only ships could reach us. Now, 2 jets a week connect us on a huge international runway with a comfortable air-conditioned terminal. Families are no longer widely separated and visited often. Once unimagined fresh foods now arrive each week. Back then, mail took weeks. News was always outdated. Now fibre optic cable connect us to the world.
The Governor-General, Her Excellency the Right Honourable Dame Sydney Kiro, shared on the flourishing bond between the two nations, nurtured by the shared history, language, culture and citizenship.
As Niue continues its journey of growth and development, I pay tribute to those partners who have supported those development aspirations and your vision of a connected and prosperous Niue. All of us share the challenges of our times, particularly climate change. And it is in the absolute interests of all of us to do what is right and what is necessary to build greater resilience and well-being for the people of the Pacific. This special Aho Pule Whakamotu is a time for Niueans to celebrate the legacy of your forebears and to look forward to how you might shape the destiny of your nation. I wish the people of Niue every success with the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Strengthened by the executive, legislative and judicial processes established by your Constitution, and secure in the knowledge that you will be supported, as always, by your friends in New Zealand.
International dignitaries, including the President of Fiji, Ratuwiliame Kotoniveri, the Cook Islands Prime Minister, Honourable Mark Brown, the Ulu o Tokelau, Honourable Faipule Petelo Alapati Tavite, and the various representatives from the diplomatic corps as far as Switzerland were also in attendance. Meanwhile, His Majesty King Charles III sent in a Constitution Day message to the people of Niue via a 2-minute video that was broadcasted during the ceremony. He said that he hoped that all Niueans could take particular pride in the remarkable achievement and development of the nation.
I very much hope that all Niueans can take particular pride in the remarkable achievements and development of your beloved nation. Looking ahead to the next 50 years, I am confident that Niue will continue to innovate, striving for sustainable development and strengthening your relationships across the Pacific.
Even though he has not visited our island nation, he reflected on the vibrant Niuean culture and the warm hospitality he and his wife Queen Camilla experienced during their visit to Auckland in 2019.
As you work together to address the pressing challenges of our time, particularly those posed by climate change, I know that you will do so while preserving the rich cultural heritage, faith, and language that define your identity.
King Charles was saddened he couldn't attend the special occasion. His Majesty wanted everyone on the island to know that his thoughts and that of the royal family was with all the Niuean people on this important day. He ended his address by saying best of luck in Wangahau Niue, to which the crowd reacted in cheers and applause. After the speeches, the leaders were invited to a traditional ceremony of the Ngalue Fafau, the display of the bounty of the land from all 14 villages to mark the auspicious occasion. The chairperson of the Taonga Niue Council, Mr. Ben Tānaki, performed the ui for the Ngalue Fafau. The Governor-General responded on behalf of the leaders and the people gathered on the day to accept the Ngalue Fafau. After the feast, the entertainment part of the program started with the village of Hakupu and their impressive performances, followed by many more which went well into the night. The performance from the Cook Islands delegation included the presentation of gifts. People stayed on into the night to celebrate Niue's Golden Jubilee of 50 years of self-government. This was indeed a momentous occasion, a once-in-a-lifetime event for this small but proud island nation with fewer than 1,800 residents. Esther Pavihi for BCN News.
An agreement to establish a trust fund has been signed between the Government of Niue and the Ekalesia Keresiano Niue Church. The Niue government says the purpose of the trust is to aid the long-term financial stability of Ekalesia Niue through government assistance. A ceremony was held during Penia Mina Day service on Monday last week. Mere Satakala with this story.
According to government officials, the idea of establishing the trust started several years ago during the government of the late Sir Toke Talangi. An initial fund of $140,000 was allocated, $40,000 was paid to the Ekalesia Niue. On Monday last week, the Minister for Social Services, Honourable Sonia Talangi, signed the agreement with the President of the Ekalesia Keresiano Niue, Reverend Nevi Salatielu. The government of Niue started the trust with $100,000. There will be 5 trustees, 3 from government and 2 from Ekalesia Niue. The government will appoint the chairperson to the board of trustees. According to the terms of the trust, there will be no drawdowns from the trust for the first 10 years. After that, drawdowns may only be made with 50% from the interest derived. The trust is established for the long-term viability of the Niue Ekalesia Keresiano. Mersatakala, BCN News.
7 Niueans have been honoured at the Niue National Awards held during the 50th anniversary celebration at Hainan International Airport. The awards recognise individuals for their long-standing service and contributions to the Niue community. Here's Esther Pavihi again with this story.
The awards were announced by the Speaker of the Niue Assembly, Honourable Hima Douglas. The Niue Distinguished Service Cross Awards were presented by the New Zealand Governor-General, Her Excellency Dame Cindy Kiro. The Niue Distinguished Service Cross went to Mrs. Lapasipaka of Muto. Mrs. Lapasipaka was a nurse by profession and was one of the first women to be elected to the Assembly as a Common Roll member. Mr. Lata Tamaposimani, who served as a Member of Parliament for Tuapa, later became Minister of Community Affairs, Telecommunications and Sports. Tamaposimani was also a Speaker of the Niue Assembly. His award was accepted on his behalf by his granddaughter, Miss Jade Posimani. And Honourable Billy Graham Talangi of Avasele, a dedicated and long-serving member of the Niue Legislative Assembly, serving more than 25 years and currently in his 9th term. Honourable Billy Talangi was a minister in the late Sir Toke Talangi's government. He was first elected to the new assembly as a common role member before successfully contesting the village seat of Avasele in 1999. He returned to contest a common role seat in 2020 and was returned to the new assembly last year as a common role member. The Niue Public Service Awards went to Mrs. Minimalingi Pulu of Alofi, who has devoted over 30 years to public health in Niue, serving as the maternal child health nurse at the Niue Health Department. Also receiving the Niue Public Service Award, Mr. Sionetasi Pulehetoa from the village of Liku, who had worked for the government for 43 years and retired at the age of 60 in 2015. Mr. Pulehetoa also served as a commissioner of the Public Service Commission. The Niue Community Service Star Awards went to Mr. Tamatoa Misikea of Hakupu for his dedicated service of more than 50 years to his community. And Mrs. Becky Dawasi, a dedicated leader in the Niue Girls Brigade, since joining in 1965 at age 10. She became the National Commissioner of the Niue Girls Brigade in 1995, a role she still holds today. The Niue Honours List has been running for the 4th year now. Esther Pavihi for BCN News.
One of the first leaders from the Pacific to arrive for the celebrations was the Ulu o Tokelau, Honourable Whaipule Petelo Alapati Tāvite and his wife Dr. Sylvia Tāvite. BCN News sat down with the Ulu o Tokelau to speak about the relationship between Niue and Tokelau as countries of the realm of New Zealand.
Honourable Tāvite is no stranger to Niue. He lived here for 5 years when he attended Niue High School in the 80s. He lived with Kenrick and Kilihanga Viviani in Hakupu, which was the first place the Ulu o Tokelau wanted to visit when he arrived.
Since I left Niue, it has been my long vision and dream to come back. You know, spending 5 years here in Niue in my teenage years, that's something you will never forget in your life. You know, the experience, the way of life, the way I grew up, it has been always in my mind. Thinking back to the families, the friends, you know, the school, it has always been my ambition to come back. So having this opportunity, it was, I was so happy, you know, looking forward to come back. So at the moment I have met the families, I have met the village, you know, some of my friends, some of the students that we went to school together. So it was a huge, a big thing for me, you know, coming back here.
He explained the governance structure of Tokelau, which is still a territory of New Zealand.
Yeah, Tokelau is a non-self-governance. We are still under the administration of New Zealand. We do have an administrator that is looking after Tokelau. Yeah? So in Tokelau, we do have a local parliament, and that local parliament consists of about 26 members. Bear in mind, Tokelau consists of 3 islands. Okay? And each of the islands have their own local councils. And these councils are composed of representatives of each extended family. One village can have about 26 members, and these members represent their extended families. Yeah? So in one of the villages, only male, that consists of the council, we call it the Taupulenga. The other village, they accept the women to be representative of their families. And one of the villages was only the 60 years old and above to become a member of that council. So every 3 years we do have election, and the election it's to vote for a mayor and also a Whaipule. The Whaipule is mostly to deal with foreign affairs things. So each of the villages have 2, a mayor and a Whaipule.
Honourable Tāvite said that he is looking forward to learning more about Niue and the Cook Islands' experiences as self-governing states, as his country Tokelau prepares to hold another public referendum on self-government.
And we would really love to know how Niue is developing, how Cook Island is developing their experiences. It could help us also. As being under New Zealand, it had some sort of relationship with New Zealand. What are the benefits that Tokelau could get out of Niue and Cook Island? And in fact, one of the reasons why I was encouraged to come is to learn about how Niue managed as being a self-government. As we are striving into having another referendum of becoming a self-government, we would like to see or to know what's Niue's experience of being a, So having that real-country relationship, I think it is important to share this kind of experiences, to learn from each other. What benefit could we get out of whatever development that each of the other two are doing.
The Ulu o Tokelau and his wife, Dr. Sylvia Tavite, took part in all the events in the lead-up to the flag-raising day, including the National Show Day at Paliasi, where Dr. Sylvia entered the basket weaving competition and came third. Honourable Tavite told BCN News that he looks forward to a time when they, as leaders of the Cook Islands, Niue and Tokelau, will have an opportunity to bond more in this unique relationship as the three realm nations of New Zealand. Esther Pavihi for BCN News.
A delegation from the Cook Islands, headed by Prime Minister Mark Brown, also joined the festivities, highlighting the strong ties between our two Pacific nations. The Prime Minister spoke to BCN News about the unique relationship between Niue and the Cook Islands and future prospects, including an airlink. Here's the story. Air Rarotonga touching down on Niue Whekai. With a warm welcome for the Prime Minister of the Cook Islands, full honours, red carpet. It's his first visit here, his presence at the Pule Whakamotu celebrations, a symbol of the close ties between Niue and the Cook Islands.
The Cook Islands, like Niue, is part of the realm countries of New Zealand, so it's important for us to be here.
For some here, that relationship runs deep in the blood.
Niue and Rarotonga is connected going back many years. I mean, probably even before the 40s.
This group has also made the journey from Rarotonga. They are descendants of Niuean migrants who relocated and settled in Rarotonga in the 1930s and 40s.
I'm from Ararangi, Tiramono family. And I think half of Ararangi is half Niuean.
Our two people has intermarriage, so we have a long-standing connection with Niue.
Now back in this ancestral homeland for the 50th Constitution anniversary.
It's always a pleasure to mix with our family in the Cook Islands.
Celebrations going long into the night.
When the call was made, I came.
With an exchange of gifts between the two prime ministers.
This simple tool, we call it a toki.
For Niue, the Cook Islands has long served as a close realm sibling. In 1965, the Cook Islands were the first to become self-governing in free association with New Zealand.
We were newly emerging countries that had come out of colonialisation, so we were finding our own feet.
11 years later, Niue would follow.
At that time, there were about 3,000 people here. Only 1,600 voted, I think. During that time, there are lots of people, there are many people not sure of what they want, whether to say yes or no.
Today, 50 years later for Niue, 60 years for us next year, we're mature countries that now stand on the international stage in our own right as sovereign independent states.
For the Cook Islands, their mark of progress since their independence was perhaps highlighted most in 2020, when it graduated as a high-income country.
Under the OECD, we've been classified as high income. The avenues for development assistance that we would traditionally have is no longer available. We're a country that now has to forge partnerships with countries. New Zealand's our biggest partner, of course.
As Niue looks to the future, some here aspire to emulate Rarotonga's economic success, embracing a more commercialised future.
Rarotonga is a good model for us. I am from the private sector. Government needs to work together with the private sector.
I think that is what we need.
As for an air link, well, that proposal is still up in the air, but not off the cards according to the Prime Minister.
That's a consideration that we would support, and for something for Niue to discuss with New Zealand.
Next year, the Cook Islands will mark their 60 years of independence.
When you come to Raro, you can wear that TAV shirt. Everybody think you are Rarotongan. The way I see it is, as if you're part of the realm countries, you're part of the family. But of course, family members grow up and they marry, they develop relationships, they live on their own, but it doesn't mean you're not still part of the family.
Two island nations doing their best to uphold the mana of their independence in the face of climate change, geopolitical interest, and a growing diaspora.
With our maturity as a country, with our growing identity as a people and as a nation, that independence is becoming more and more important for us to recognise ourselves as Niueans here in Niue, as Cook Islanders in the Cook Islands. Let's not wait 50 years before we come back and celebrate again. Let's build those relationships, build those strong ties.
Two leaders hoping to help carve that future. Moana Makapilu Lee, BCN News. The China-aided roundabout road upgrading project in Niue was marked by a formal handover ceremony last Monday. The 46.1 kilometre road upgrade began in April last year, undertaken by the China Railway First Group.
More than 70 people were present at the formal handing over ceremony, including Prime Minister Dalton Tangilangi, Minister of Finance and Infrastructure Crossley Tatui, and the People's Republic of China Ambassador to Niue, Dr. Wang Xinglong, as well as government officials and representatives.
What is for the next 50 years for Niue and China? And I can say, as part of those bilaterals and ongoing discussions, that we will be forging our relationship further strengthened for the next 50 years and for further support.
Wang said there was huge potential for projects between the two countries in the future, including trade, tourism, climate change, and people-to-people exchanges. He spoke to BCN News addressing local concerns of the hidden costs to Niue of people receiving ChinaAid and if China had military interests in Niue.
Our relationship is a comprehensive strategic partnership based on mutual respect and in pursuit of common prosperity and common development. And I think that is the focus of our relationship, to make sure that both our peoples will enjoy better lives. And particularly, we're glad that we could be of little help for the efforts in Niue to bring about better lives for the Niuean people.
The handover also included new vehicles to the Niue government and equipment for BCN under the Broadcasting and TV Station Maintenance and an Equipment Upgrade Agreement. This includes radios that will be given out to each household on the island. Mersa Takala, BCN News.
To news and sports, after 2 decades of dedication, Tunnel's gym has received a huge uplift. Here's the story.
The humble gym in Alofi North has produced some of the country's top weightlifters and medalists, but for over 20 years has needed an upgrade and replacements of outdated equipment. 2 weeks ago, that changed. A blessing ceremony unveiling brand new weights, shoes, and belts, among other gears, generously donated by the International Weightlifting Federation. What gym owner Alan Tano and president of the Niue Weightlifting Federation, Narita Viliamu, hopes will propel Niue's weightlifting talents to new heights.
The donation is from the International Weightlifting Federation via Paul Coffer. All these weights and those new ones are not open. That's when we started, years ago when I left Public Works and started gym. Still going those weights.
It means a lot. We did have our old weights from 2003 and we did talk about that a few years back during our showcase in October. How we always wanted to have new weights to help develop lifters or any athletes here in Niue. So for us to have these now, it's just motivation for other athletes to come and come to the gym and use them and make use of all the new weights that we've got. Yeah.
The gym is open 24/7 to the public and is free. Mersa Takala, BCN News.
Mutalau was a buzz as crowds turned out for the Mutalau Village Show Day on Saturday, a showcase of the community's rich heritage. The event featured an array of stores with local specialties and Niue crafted products, many flocking in early so as not to miss out on the best of Mutalau culture.
In his speech to the community, New Zealand High Commissioner to Niue, Mark Gibb, highlighted the contribution of Mutalau's community leaders, village people, as well as renowned Niuean artists in New Zealand of Mutalau descent.
Paulie Fulomena, who created the song How Bizarre, his family came from Mutalau, and that song is still on my playlist. Shea Fu is another popular musician, and his father Tingalao Ness is also from Mutalau. So over the years, New Zealand's been pleased to support Mutalau and your development. Many years ago we started off with the Vanilla Project, but also we did the reconstruction of the road and the ramp down to the water. Among those who came out for the show day was Prime Minister Dalton Tangilangi, government ministers and MPs, as well as the Australian High Commissioner to Niue, Katie Stewart. Mersa Takala, BCN News.
A new book written by Niue children for Niue children was launched earlier this month at Niue Primary School. Here's more on this story.
The book titled Niue is a collection of writing and illustrations by children of Niue, written by about 40 Niuean children on the island and abroad from as far as Japan, Canada, and Norway. Author David Riley said the project was about getting children to write about their history, culture, arts of Niue, and experiences in their own words with the help of their families.
So what better way to make one than to have it written by Niue children? And that's what this project was all about. It was getting, I think we have 40 Niuean children from all around the world, Niue Primary, Favona and Rowandale, and also Niue children in Japan, Canada, Norway and other places in the world who contributed stories about history and culture of Niue in their own words, in their own perspective, and also they did art as well.
Project lead in Niue and retired primary school teacher Melanie Maya thanked the team for allowing her to be part of the project and has she learned a lot from the children.
I feel so proud and I feel so honored to see that book written by the children, for the children, and how they see the world and how they see Niue, their own personal experiences with their own families, the food, the culture. There's a lot.
A group from the Favona Primary School in Auckland were also in attendance during the launch.
As Niue marked its Golden Jubilee, locals took centre stage, hosting an array of events throughout the month. Our BCN News team was there to capture some of the magic. Here are the highlights.
Fresh off from his successful solo exhibition in New York last month, renowned Niuean artist John Pule held an art exhibition 2 weeks ago as part of this month's calendar of events. BCN News spoke with Pule, who said there were about 7 art pieces of his work on display at the old Falefono foyer with a focus on Hiapo that have deep connections to Niue. People turned up to view his pieces and he thanked everyone for supporting his art exhibition. And getting bigger and better each year, the fashion show was a glitz and glamour event as designers showcased some of their work held at the Niue High School Hall. Meanwhile, it was a great night of music and entertainment as various Niue artists like John Unga, Glenn Jackson, Pinky, and Tafisi Uta Serenides, among others, performed. People turned up in numbers with families and friends to enjoy live music held at the commercial center. And people braved the rain and cold wind to cheer on and show their support to participants at the traditional Niue Vaka race held at the Sir Robert's Wharf 2 weeks ago. According to their Niue Matakau Vaka Facebook page, the organizing committee thanked every participant as there were many vakas out in the water to celebrate this year's event with an increased number of women taking part compared to previous years.
That's our news bulletin for tonight. You can join us for our Wangahau News Bulletin next Tuesday. A special whakalofa atu to our viewers from across the region and to our partners at Pacifica TV. I'm Moana Makapelu Lee, Monuina e Pō.